Tom Randolph has literally been playing the hero hubby.
Boom, boom!
Dramatically acting out in this police video how he says he fearlessly chased down and killed a masked intruder who just shot his wife Sharon dead in their suburban Las Vegas home.
I just kept right on going. Boom! Boom! Boom!
But right from the beginning, Detective Dino Kelly has Tom pegged as a villain, not a hero.
In my book, you had Thomas Randolph as a potential suspect 5 minutes after I walked in the door.
The forensic evidence at the crime scene directly contradicts Tom's story.
Sharon! Sharon!
And Detective O'Kelly suspects Tom may have masterminded the killings of both his wife and the intruder.
He set the whole thing up.
The pieces of the puzzle begin to fall into place when the dead intruder is identified as Michael Miller. A 38-year-old handyman Tom had admitted was no stranger to him on his 911 call.
I know him. He's ripped me off. He's tried to rip me off.
Investigators learned Tom had befriended Miller several months earlier.
He takes him under his wing and starts having him around the house constantly.
Out of the kindness of his heart, he befriended what he called a bum.
Yeah.
Shooting more than just the breeze with him.
They're constantly shooting guns. They're constantly out doing target practice.
As investigators say, Tom's wife and others had grown suspicious of what else the pair might have been getting up to.
They're constantly having conversations over the telephone, meetings in like secret rooms where no one can hear what's going on. Everybody thought the relationship was very odd.
Including investigators.
In like a 6 or 8 week period, we have over 303 phone calls between the two of them.
Police suspect Tom may have hired Miller to murder Sharon and make it look like a burglary.
Boom! Boom! Boom!
And then kill his hitman to silence him.
Why did you broke into your house?
Because I was leaving the next day.
Tom admits to detectives that he'd given Miller $150 just hours before Sharon was shot dead.
Maybe even more than that over a couple of days. It got to be, he'd come over and borrow, $20, do a little bit of work.
Tom insists the money was just another one of many loans he'd made to Miller.
So you better not end up at the casino tonight because tomorrow if you come to my house early in the morning or tonight, I'm just not answering the phone, I'm not answering the door. You ain't getting another penny from me.
But then investigators make an astounding discovery. Tom stands to make $360,000 out of his wife's death.
He had several life insurance policies out on her. I think we were able to uncover 4 total.
Now detectives think they've found a motive for Tom wanting Sharon dead. But prosecutors want more evidence before bringing a murder case against him. But it doesn't stop there. Detectives dig a little deeper and, to their own astonishment, discover something truly chilling. Sharon is not the first Mrs. Randolph to have met a tragic end.
He's been married 6 times, 4 of his wives are dead. This isn't a coincidence.
And Tom had taken out large life insurance policies on all of them.
They were a way to generate money, and he did that for 30 years.
One of his wives, number 4, Frances, would suspiciously die in her hospital bed after undergoing successful heart surgery.
According to family members, everything's fine, she's doing great.
Until Tom tells her daughter he wants to be alone with Frances.
Thomas comes out sometime later and tells her that her mom is dead. And she has no idea how that could have happened.
And her family would never find out.
There's no autopsy, she's cremated. He then sends her remains in pill bottles to her family members.
I'm sorry, and
pill bottles, prescription pill bottles. He sends her ashes.
Investigators would also learn that a young Tom had allegedly tried to hire hitmen to murder 2 other wives, number 1, Catherine, and number 3, Gaina. But Tom's offers had been declined by the prospective hitmen, one of whom feared for his own life.
He said immediately, after I shoot her, you're going to kill me.
Just like police believe Tom killed Michael Miller after he'd killed Sharon.
It certainly corroborated a lot of what we already knew about what happened to Sharon.
But it's the violent and suspicious death of wife number 2, Becky, that would astound investigators.
He shows up and Becky has shot herself in a bed and is laying with the covers perfectly covered and one bullet hole to the head.
It's ruled a suicide, and Tom weeps all the way to the bank.
Thomas Randolph had 4 insurance policies on her that we were able to find, totaling over $500,000.
Then, almost 2 years later, yet another prospective hitman, Eric Tarantino, comes forward alleging Tom had approached him to kill wife number 2, Becky, telling cops they even discussed ways it could be done.
Car accident, putting a cloth of cyanide over her face, having her pass out, slamming her head against a full bathtub, making it look like she slipped and fell and drowned. I mean, you name it.
This time, Tom's suddenly on his way to jail.
Was he then taken into custody?
He was taken into custody. He was charged with Becky's murder.
And while Tom's in custody awaiting trial, a jailhouse sting busts him trying to put a hit on Eric Tarantino, the man he tried to hire to kill wife number 2, Becky. Prosecutors say it was a vain attempt to prevent Tarantino from testifying.
Eric Tarantino goes in, tells the judge everything.
But the jury wasn't allowed to hear about the foiled hit on Tarantino, and Tom would be found not guilty of murdering Becky.
They were going after the death penalty or nothing, and the jury said, we don't have enough to go with death.
And Tom would also get off easy for allegedly plotting to kill Eric Tarantino, pleading guilty to a lesser charge of tampering with a witness.
And he goes to prison for a short period of time.
But now, after uncovering the deadly history of his first 6 marriages, investigators realize they're not dealing with your average, everyday killer.
I think he's a monster.
Serial killer as well?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind he's a serial killer.
Next, the courtroom is shocked at the sight of an almost unrecognizable Tom Randolph when he goes on trial for the murder of his 6th wife, Sharon, and the execution of the hitman who killed her.
I didn't kill anybody.
How much money do you think he got away with?
Well, over his career as a wife killer, it's into several $1 million.